Hello there, welcome to my world of stuff. My name is Paul Mount. Time to take a look at tonight's episode of episode 5 of Doctor Who Flux. It's Survivors of the Flux. Now, I watched this episode a bit late because I was out doing some filming, which is quite exciting. And I got back halfway through the episode, so I started watching it on catch-up halfway through. I've got nothing to do with anything. But no, it just occurred to me while I was watching it, when Doctor Who came back in 2005 under the stewardship of Russell T Davies, it was a clean slate. The slate was completely clean, and Russell presented for an audience who weren't familiar with the series a show about an eccentric traveller in space and time, a mysterious alien who associated, that sounds even worse, who made the acquaintance of a young companion and took her off into the stars to explore time and space and have extraordinary adventures, meeting extraordinary aliens and adversaries. It was a blank page. It was all new and it was all fresh. Russell very wisely decided to give the Spanish archer the elbow to all the old convoluted mythology of the series, Time Lords and Gallifrey and regenerations and all that sort of stuff that had bedeviled the series in its last few years. Now we're 16 years later, and the latest series, Flux, is all about the history of the Time Lords and the Doctor's secret past, the Timeless Child, the division, a secret cabal of covert Time Lords operating outside Time Lord authority. And it's all mind-boggling. For a casual audience now, this really is not television you sit and watch down without having a degree in Doctor Who lore. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to an extent. I think this has been a great series. Doctor Who Flux has been, for me, the best series of Doctor Who. I said this before, I think, since series 4, the last David Tennant series, because it's big and it's bold and it's spectacular and it's lavish, and even with the confines of COVID, it manages to be globetrotting. But the concepts are huge, and I watched this episode tonight and thought, Doctor Who, people often write Doctor Who off as a kids' TV series, but I don't think kids, I don't know, this is just really hardcore. This is proper, science fiction. And interestingly, this particular episode now opens up the multiverse concept that Marvel have made quite a big thing over in the MCU in the last year or so. Concept of alternative universes and additional universes, alongside each other. And Doctor Who's now gone down that road with this particular episode. It's hard to actually review this particular episode because it is, as I've said before, for all these episodes, part of a 6-part story. You can't really judge an episode on its own. Although you could do it with episodes 2 and 4, because within that arc, they had self-contained stories with the rest of the arc sort of bubbling around outside it. This was very much, as in episode 1 and 3, bang! It was hitting you with big serial format stuff. Loads of exposition, loads of important plot points, story progression. And it was stunning. I used to just watch this thinking, this is fairly mind-boggling. I've been watching Doctor Who since the 60s, and it's always been a fairly quaint, typically British, very imaginative adventure series. But now it's pushing out and becoming truly cosmic now. And I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's just dealing with extraordinary concepts now, like I say, the multiverse and the history of the Doctor, and it's really exploring this timeless child thing, which caused such a furore in certain sad areas of fandom last year. But it's doing it so well. Chris Chibnall's scripts are so good now. I mean, this is obviously what he really wanted to do all along. It's just taken 3 years to get here. But the dialogue sings. Jodie Whittaker's had her best in this episode. And everybody's on top form. The production is just stunning. This episode was directed, I think his name is Azir Salim. And it's just feature film stuff again. Huge spacescape scenes. Beautiful sort of composed cinematography shots. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. And there's so much in this episode that it started to fill in those little gaps in the story. We've got so many different characters. And I do wonder, with one episode to go, I hope it's going to be a long episode, because I really don't know how all this is going to wrap up in the space of one episode, because there's so much. We've got the Timeless Child stuff. We've got Yaz, Dan, and Eustachius from the previous episode, trapped in the past, and now in 1904, travelling the world to try and find a way to get back to the Doctor. You've got the Serpent character played brilliantly by Craig Parkinson, who's been sort of instrumental in the setup of Unit, of all things. and he's been involved in all that. We saw the return of Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, best performance ever from Gemma Redgrave, really giving it some. We've got all the stuff with Carvanista. We've got Belle and Vinda still travelling about the place. Diane, Dan's putative girlfriend in Liverpool, who disappeared in the first episode, she's popped up again. There's so much going on. There's probably maybe one or two plot strands too much to keep juggling in the air, because some of them obviously have slipped down the ladder a bit. I mean, the bit with Vinda was one very short scene where he meets up with Diane, and that's obviously going to move forward. It is literally mind-boggling. As a Doctor Who fan, I think it's stunningly audacious. It's bold and brave. It makes no concessions and no allowances, really, for casual viewers who like to watch Doctor Who to see the Doctor fight nasty monsters. Because it's not like that. I mean, that's the thrust of it. The Doctor's out to save our universe, which is in enormous peril in this story. But it's not something that you sit and watch to get a thrill out of, because it is so dense, with so many balls in the air. And I think Chris Chibnall's doing a great job of keeping them spinning in an interesting way. But I think that it's not aimed at the casual fan anymore. This whole episode, there was one beautiful scene which refers back to a 1966 Doctor Who story, The War Machines. And watching that level of fan service, you think, wow, this is just... Doctor Who has become now what it was in the 1980s, I think. Much better than that, because it's got decent production values, scale and scope to it, and much better scripts. But it is very much playing to the fan gallery now. And I think that can be fun, but I think it can go too far. I just think I'm enjoying this enormously, and this is an extremely garbled review, even by my standards. I mean, this is great television, but whether it's great Doctor Who for the casual audience, I don't think it is. But I think the show's made that decision now for this particular run. Let's just go for broke. Let's tell these stories that Chris Chibnall wants to tell, tie up these loose ends, and then when Russell T Davies comes along in a couple of years' time, it's a fresh start. I'm excited for what he'll have planned. I'm slightly apprehensive because I think for him it's been there, done that, and I don't know. It's exciting to find out what he'll have new to bring. I don't think he would come back if he didn't have some bold new ideas. And I think the show needs stripping right back again now. So I think that the fact that there's only a couple of episodes next year and probably only one or two the year afterwards will be good for the show, and it can relaunch in 2024 or something. A bit fresh again and reinvigorated. But no, this was a great episode in so many ways. I think if you've been following this serialized format, you'll see things starting to move together. Pieces starting to not fit together, but move towards fitting together. But as I say, how episode 6 resolves everything. There's so much at play and so many different characters in so many different places. I hope that some things aren't shunted aside. I hope some things aren't forgotten, because having set up so much so well, it would be a shame if Chris Chibnall sort of doesn't manage to tie everything up. So it's great. It's really good, but it's very much for the hardcore. It's a great piece of television, great piece of science fiction, great piece of writing, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm going to give this episode 9 out of 10, another 9, because it's just takes your breath away in places. Right, that's Doctor Who Flux, Survivors of the Flux. Right, hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time. There may be a video later this week with an announcement about this channel. So stay tuned for that. I've recorded it. I've yet to decide whether I'm going to upload it. So stay tuned. If that doesn't arrive, forget I said this. But it's, just been looking at how the channel is doing lately and have to make certain decisions on it. And I've recorded a video where I've made that decision, but we'll see how things go in the next week or so. Right, that's me done for now. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you think of this Doctor Who episode. Also, let me know what you think of the channel generally. Any ideas, things you think might help me sort of give it a lift, things I'm not doing that I should be doing. I know I'm not all over social media banging on about subscribe and like and all that. I just do my bit here. But if there's any way you think that the channel could be improved or got out there a little bit more, let me know. Be nice to know. Right, that's me done. Until I see you next time. Hey, you know what they say, huh? Keep checking the stuff.